What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and today I'm going to teach you how to make some dope gloves for the Frostblades build. I haven't yet released this build. The reason why is because I kind of started it recently, and I haven't finished gearing it. I'm not I'm not necessarily going to present this build in a super low cost because we are getting towards the end of the season, so people have already built up currency. So, and most people that are going to be looking to try something are probably going to want to be trying it with some currency invested initially. So that will be coming out, so you guys can see the capabilities of the build. But that is relevant because my recommendation for the item we're going to be crafting today is going to be relevant to this build. And I'll give you the other options. Say you're playing a different Frostblade build and you want to create something else. So for this build, I have specifically chosen the Redeemer and the Hunter. The reason why, if you're playing a different build, this might not be the best combination is because there's some really good stuff on the Warlords, mainly being Coaling Strike. The reason why I'm not going for a Coaling Strike on this is for a couple of reasons. First of all, that will make it so that we have prefix and suffix, which gives us a lower chance of success on the initial part because we don't have the chance to wipe the bottom and multi-mod it. So that is one reason. The other reason is Coaling Strike does nothing for me because I have Coaling Strike already in the build. Um, so I already have Coaling Strike, I already have Intimidates. Those are not things that I'm looking for on this roll. I'm looking for the Strike skill targets one additional nearby enemy. Why is this? Because it's going to give it a massive boost to its ability to clear efficiently. Why is that? Because the Strike skill, Frostblades, when it strikes, it shoots out projectiles and that clears stuff. Having an additional target having strike skills target one additional nearby enemy is a pretty big deal because, when I attack, if it's targeting another enemy, that's 2 attacks. So as far as wave clearing, this is doubling my clearing ability. Why is it that I'm going for this specifically on the gloves? We have a super sweet neck enchantment that we can wind up going for, um, which Tribal Fury, it does that exact same thing. It gives us an additional target, is targeted with strike skills. The reason why I'm not going for it on the anointment is for this reason. I want to have number percent crit on my chest. I also want to have a lot of life coming from my chest. This is the other place that I can get an extra curse without having a super rare, ultra expensive corrupted curse, which is not realistic to recommend in a build because that's a super low chance to get. If I recommended that in a build as the target to go for, that would be the dumbest thing I could possibly do because even if you can afford it, you're probably not going to be able to find uh, one with the stuff that you need because if it just has the curse corruption and it doesn't have the other tribal fury on it, then that kind of defeats the whole purpose because that corruption curse now becomes pointless because I could have just crafted on Whispers of Doom and instead of losing my anointment. So that's why that would be a really stupid recommendation. So our only choices are Whispers of Doom on our amulet or Whispers of Doom on our chest. Why is it that it is a better option for me to go for the extra targeting on my gloves instead of on my necklace? What is it that we're giving up or losing on these 2 slots? The best possible thing that I can gain on my gloves is nowhere near as strong as the best possible thing that I can gain because basically the extra strike is kind of, it can go on one or the other. But I can't get an extra curse on my gloves. And what is it that the extra curse is giving to the build? Well, it's giving me an extra curse, which the strength of that is essentially the strength of my extra curse, which is Frostbite, which is a 32% increase to my total damage because it's a negative 32% debuff to enemies. There's nothing on the gloves that can come even close to that. The closest things we have are something like Intimidates, which is 10%, Coaling Strike, which is 10%, because essentially it's like 10% because they die at 10%. It's not actual 10%, but it's an effective 10%. Intimidates makes them take 10% more damage, so that is a 10% damage increase. But we also already have intimidates, so which we can get, right in these nodes, which is what we have gone ahead and done. So, and the reason why I have it on 2 of these is because the option slot here, cursed enemies take 5% increased damage. This is, for the slot, very strong. We also get 5% chance to dodge attacks. So 5% increased total damage that they're taking and a 5% chance to dodge. That's pretty sweet. So, which also makes them easier to get and cheaper to get. So it's all about efficiency. The other ones that we have chosen, or I have chosen, is 5% chance to deal double damage, which that is an effective 5% total damage increase. Because 5% of the time you deal double damage, 1 out of 20 times you're dealing double damage. That 100% more damage divided by 20 is 5% more damage. So essentially, these two slots are close to the exact same damage as far as those two things. The difference is one gives me a chance to dodge, the other one gives me percent crit chance, but at a certain point we don't need more crit chance. So that's kind of the reason why it's structured like this. But let's get back to the craft. So that is the reason why I've gone with the Redeemer. The Redeemer is not super strong on gloves, honestly. We have the number to number cold damage on critical strike. You have number to number physical damage if you deal a critical strike. You have percent chance to gain frenzy charge on kill. We don't need this. We're already this build specifically. Maybe if you have a build that's not generating frenzy charges, then that might be a good viable option for you. But on this build, that's not a viable option. We've got frenzy charge generation, and it's a better frenzy charge generation than what we would be able to get through an item. So that is the reason why we have arrived at this conclusion. We're going for the largest damage increase. We have these isolated. I have an item level 85 base. The reason why I have an item level 85 base is because that is the cheapest base level that is going to offer us everything that we want. As far as Redeemer, the highest thing that we can get on that is only level 80. As far as the Hunter, it's 85, which those two things are unnerves and intimidates, which we don't want. But if we wind up with, cold damage, intimidates, with the extra strike skill, that's probably something I'm going to sell. It's not going to be good for my build, but if I get triple rolls up top, and anything useful on the bottom, that's going to be a valuable item. So I'm not just thinking for my initial slam. As far as the suffixes, prefixes on the rest of the item, we do have something that goes up to 85. That's accuracy. My accuracy isn't perfect, so a tier 1 accuracy would actually be a beneficial thing. My actual effective accuracy is higher because of like when the build starts rolling, but I wouldn't mind having capped 100% to evasives all the time. That would not be something I would be upset about. The only other thing at 85 is going to be our dexterity, give us a chance to get tier 1 dexterity. There are dexterity stacking builds out there, so a tier 1 dexterity roll is going to add value to the item for those builds. So we want the chances to roll that stuff, and at the minimum you're going to want an item level 84 so that you have the chances for all of the tier 1 resistances, because tier 1 resistance would be, is always super dope. So without further ado, I've given you guys explanations. You're always going to make sure that you have your desired stat isolated. In this case, I have the tier 1 number cold damage if you've dealt a critical strike recently, and then I have the hunter's strike skills target 1 additional enemy. We have these two things. We are going to take and click on the one that we are going to be destroying first, and then we're going to click on the keeper, and then we're going to be like, sweet, this is usable. So, oh no! That sucks. I thought it was usable at first. Oh god. That's so bad. The problem is the increased armor. I need life on these. That's not good. That puts me in a really hard situation because I don't want to give up 70 life. But there's a very good chance if I roll over this I mean, if I use a I mean, I've got a 25% chance with an annulment orb. I have a 33% chance with a beastcraft. So the beastcraft is the better choice in this situation because I've got a 1 out of 3 chance of not ruining the item. Um, it is really nice that I have a tier 1 chance to evade attacks, um, but that really sucks that and the roll and the cold damage is near perfect. Perfect on the bottom, one off on the top. Um, but you know, I'm gonna lose a lot of like 200, a little bit less than 200, 100 and something. Um, it, I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do with this at this point. Because I can just go with like a super damage roll on this. I can craft attack speed, um, which is going to give me quite a bit of damage over these because I've got resistances on those. I can try to make up resistances in my tree. Um, but it's kind of really a hard situation because the crafted attack speed is actually really good for crafted because it comes in a pretty high range, so I could perfect roll that. Most likely, I think I'm going to wind up trying to beastcraft. I'm honestly kind of at a loss as to whether I want to do that at this point or not, so I'm not going to do it. I know I don't even have the beasts because I've been just crafting like crazy. But if you weren't happy with this item, at this point, like if you're not like, I can craft one thing on this and I'm done with this item, the best choice is to go with the Beastcraft because you know, go with the odds. I have a 33% chance of success on the item, and then if I successfully do that, I have, you know, I can do whatever I want. I can either wipe the bottom, and you know the top's going to be guaranteed to stay the way it is, or you know I can just craft on my life and you know be done with it, and then or Exalt Slam the bottom. Um, Unfortunately, this is going to be a really hard item to get to the way that I want it. Um, I 100% want the strike skills attack an additional enemy. Um, I could give up the critical strike recently, but I don't really want to. I'm gonna have to think about it. But if you were at this point and you have three in the top, and you're going to make the choice, and you have this, you know, 1 out of 4 for an annulment orb, that's the worst possible choice because obviously I have a 1 out of 3. The item has the two things I really want on it. You have to think about it like this: the chance for the beast is going to cost me like 20 to 30 chaos, which relative to how much it's going to cost for me to try and get these two things back together is basically nothing. And if I'm successful with it, I could wind up, you know, hitting the beastcraft and getting something really good in the bottom. And then, you know, the item's done. I craft on my HP, and you know, I have a near ideal item, and then Exalt Slam it is what I would do. Um, but if you annulment orbit, what's going to happen is, you know, if I hit the suffix even, which doesn't completely ruin it, now I have to annul again. So now I have that 33% chance at, you know, the success of multiple progressions of that then puts my success rate below 10% for 2 annulment orbs. If I wind up hitting the two mods that I put on there, then you know the item's just ruined. Also doing that, then it leaves me in a situation where now I can only multi-mod, which the bottom mod is good. I want that bottom mod. Like, that's a good thing to have on there. Tier 1 chance to evade. It's an evasion dodge build. So that extra evasion is going to be sweet. My actual effective running is 70%, but having extra evade would be cool. So, yeah. I will have to decide. Anyways, thanks for watching. Sorry I couldn't make a decision during the video and finish the item or ruin it, as I usually do. Um, but at least now you have the thought process and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. Peace.